You can join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. where we talk about the stories and events that athletes, former athletes, and individuals are talking about today. Tonight's episode is about the climb, the grind, and the guts and what it takes to better yourself and come out with you hopefully victorious on the next end. Our guest tonight is an athlete who is right in the middle of that climb. He just turned professional a few months ago, and he grew up playing his game when he's been playing it since he was 3 years old. You know, the story behind exactly who he is will tell you exactly what kind of person he is and what kind of competitor he is. You know, he has some fantastic stories, I believe, and his uh, his his performance is pretty much unbelievable. He's chasing his pro card on the Corn Ferry Tour, which is his last stop before joining the PGA Tour. Let's get into it. As we go along tonight, you know, I'm going to ask some questions of my guest. He's probably one of the, you know, probably one of the most genuine people that I've met. You know, I've only known him for a brief amount of time. He contacted me on over social media, and we had a really good conversation, and the rapport was there, and it was on point. Uh, my guest tonight is a professional golfer out of Sarasota, Florida. He grew up here in Orlando, Florida, in Lake Mary. He's had a golf club in his hand since he was 3 years old. He was introduced to the game by his grandparents, and he won his first golf tournament when he was 13 years old. He won his first club championship when he was 16 years old, which is a massive feat for any teenager. I work with teenagers every day. Sometimes it's hard to get them to even know how to tie their shoes. So I mean, he's done some really cool things, and along the way, he made the choice that most athletes and most young people have hard, you know, make it would be a hard choice for them to make. As a teenager, he stepped away from all activity to help and care for his grandmother, which is a responsibility he still honors to this day. He bypassed going to college, and he bet on himself and turned professional in 2025 after winning the Willow Creek Invitational, and where he shot an amazing 68 and 65 in 2 rounds, an amazing score. If you know about golf, if you're hitting below 70, I mean you're like 2 clicks away from getting paid for what you're doing, which is where Hunter is on his way to do. Now he's going to start his journey competing for his pro card on the Corn Ferry Tour. Um, which is the last step before he joins the PGA, which I am excited to talk to him. So without further ado, please welcome the future PGA Tour golfer, Hunter Stoneman. Hunter, welcome to the show. All right. How you doing,
How are
Hunter?
you? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's good to have you on the show. So let's talk about the leap into you turning pro and what you're bringing to the course.
For sure. So I probably honestly would have turned pro a little bit earlier in my career if the last couple of years I've kind of got, some sponsors and backing, and I stayed an amateur to give myself some more events to play, a little bit cheaper, and to be able to play more events, get more experience, hone in my game, and really get ready for that next step in turning pro and doing it for a living. It was I was definitely timid, and I knew that it was going to be hard. I was going to go into a lot of debt, but I knew that from the age of 3 when I started playing golf, I knew I had a talent. My grandparents knew that golf was going to be what was the number one thing in my life. So I definitely, like I said, it took me a while to take the big step, but eventually I made that decision last year. Yeah.
That is sweet. Since golf has been such a big part of your life for that long, take me back to what what was the day like when your grandparents introduced you to the game of golf? What did they give you that kept you going beyond the point of you just kind of losing interest as you get older?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, my grandfather put a tennis racket in a golf club, tennis racket in one hand, golf club in the other, and so I played both sports up until about high school. But I always enjoyed, I would say, I enjoyed golf more because you're out there. It's more relaxing. Tennis, I was a hothead in tennis. It's more intense of a sport. So I kind of chose golf just because it was more, like I said, more relaxing. You're not as and like I said, I was more calm on the golf course. I knew my career would be a lot longer too.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I would say for those few reasons. Also, my grandfather was huge into golf. I grew up with my grandparents, so it was kind of just what we did. It was my grandfather would pick me up from elementary school up to middle school, pick me up on Wednesdays, and we would go play a course in Central Florida. Every Wednesday, he never missed a week, and I think that, like I said, that relaxing time, with the people closest in my life is what made me kind of choose that over tennis and football and other sports that I played.
that is huge. I understand. So you like baby John McEnroe?
Yeah,
You're-
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So
that's
yeah, and,
yeah.
and like I said, played football too. Like and that was a big part of my life as well. But my stepdad was my football coach, so every car ride home, it's miserable if we lost, if I didn't play perfect. So I think that, like I said, that time with my grandparents, calm, relaxing time on the golf course is what made me choose that over anything else.
I would say you from an ex football player, you probably chose the right sport. Just
For
being
sure, for
honest,
sure.
you
Yeah, yeah,
did good. So you won your first golf tournament at the age of 13,
yes.
and your first club championship at the age of 16. When did golf go from just a hobby to you basically saying, "This is my life and this is what I want to do"?
I would say probably right out of high school. My mom got really sick my last couple years of high school. She had lung cancer. I took about 2 years off of playing, and I never really knew if I was going to get back to playing. Honestly, it took a lot out of me, and but I remember when she was sick in the hospital room. I mean, she told me, like, never give up. This is what we have. This is what you need to do. Quite frankly, I mean, she told me, you don't have anything else. This is all you've known. So you really need to make it. There is no backup plan. So really, it's not only for myself I'm doing this, but it's for my grandparents, my mom, and the people that have been there and provided me the resources to be able to do this, for a living. Um, so
That
I so to answer your question, probably right out of high school, I would say I fully chose golf.
that's huge. That's huge. I'm my heart goes out to you. I understand, and you kind of went into the next question. You know, for a lot of young people, that would have been that would have been a deal breaker, and that would have caused them you know, to do other things. And so, how would you say that experience shaped you, and did it actually drive you more as a golfer into a more intense competitor?
I would say, I mean, when you have to watch your mom, struggle and fight for the basic things that I think that everyone, well, not everyone, but most people may take for granted, in everyday life, just waking up and being able to do, normal things. I think it made me really step back and think, well, I'm spending my time every day on a golf course, playing the game that I love for a living. I mean, how can it get any better than that? And I think that's really when I told myself, like I have to do this. I have to keep going, and no matter how hard it is, how much, debt you put yourself into, you got to make it for the people, that were always there for you. And I think I really just became a lot more grateful. And it also, I think, alleviated some of the stress of playing at an intense high level, because it's like, like I said, I'm just more grateful for being able to do it for a living. So I would say, yeah, it definitely helped me um, be more relaxed, and kind of just let myself do what I've trained my whole life to do. Like, there shouldn't I shouldn't be putting that extra stress on myself. I have a talent. I was blessed to be able to swing a golf club. I so I think that really helped. It definitely helped me. I mean, it was the hardest time of my life, but it definitely also, shaped my future.
That is huge. I mean, I believe that sports serves such a huge part in somebody's development, especially young people, and it gives you a reason to get up in the morning. I mean, it's I commend everything that everything that you have been through, and I think that this is a lesson that everybody should actually to kind of learn, is that you really you really have to put yourself in a position where you you keep going regardless of what is going on, because you know you have to you have to make sure that that you have a reason to just get up in the morning,
For
because
sure.
especially when you're going through something that tough. I I'm my heart goes out, and I'm glad that you were mature enough to make it through that without any, with a true purpose. So that's huge. That is huge. So just moving forward, you bypassed college to turn pro in 2005 in November.
Mhm.
That's a really bold call. Could you walk us through that decision, and who was your counsel? What was your main motivating fact? What was the main motivating factor that helped you make that decision? That was a really bold decision.
Yeah, so it did kind of going back to my mom passing away. I fell behind in school, fell behind in high school, never really picked back up until way later, and I just decided, like I said, golf is all I know. Um, I'm not gonna get, the sponsor, or sorry, the scholarship opportunities, because, like I said, I took 2 years off, so that
Mhm.
was out the door. I mean, I could have probably gone to a smaller school and worked my way up, but I just decided. I said that I know this is what I want to do. If it didn't work out, teaching was probably, if I had a backup plan, would have been my backup plan. But I was really just all in. I mean, there is nothing that I would rather do, and there's nothing that I really, yeah, it was all golf, all golf.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it's a great. I mean, I'm garbage at it, like most, like 80% of the people who play, and I mean, but I do love the fact that I can play it regardless of what's going on in my life. I
yeah.
mean, if I, it's a sport, it's competitive, and it gives you an opportunity to see exactly where you're at physically. Give us the feeling, how you feel after you won the Willow Creek Invitational with a score of 68 and 65. What actually clicked that week for you, and how did you feel?
I honestly relieved, because I was not playing great golf that week. I was struggling. I it was a course that I really enjoyed, I really liked, but I was really struggling with the putter. I didn't feel confident. I had the yips, I would say, with the putter. So short 4 or 5 footers, I was really struggling with, especially in practice. And
Mhm.
I made a change the day before. I actually went up to our local PGA Superstore, and I said, I just need to change. I mean, I need to look at something different. I said, it can't get any worse. I can't make anything right now. So I made the change the night before, got to the putting. I had no expectation. I had been hitting it good though. I knew I was going to be able to compete and be there on the last day. But like I said, changed the night before. Putts started to go in. Second day, I wasn't hitting it my best, but I had so much confidence on the greens that when I looked at a putt, I knew it was going in, and I knew the front nine. I think going in the back nine, I was 2 shots back, and I really needed to turn it up a little bit. I think I birdied, what was it? Might have been 13, 14, 15, I believe. And I knew it was going to be close. Um,
Hmm.
so, I just held on. The last 3 holes are pretty difficult. So just made my pars there and then got back into the clubhouse. And like I said, I knew it was going to be close, but I ended up winning by, I think, 2 shots. And like I said, just took a putter out of the store. I mean, something I like to look down at, and just prayed for the best. And then, ever since I've worked very hard on my putting, and it's become one of the best part of my game.
That's sweet. So the best part of your game is driving the ball off the tee. You would say.
I would say so. That's kind of shifted a little bit now. Now it's more short game putting. My driver's been a little sporadic lately, but it's not enough to get me in trouble. Just not as perfect as I would like to be. We all want to be perfect. All golfers want to be perfect, but I would say it's coming around. Working really hard with my coach in Orlando, and it's getting back to normal. So yeah.
Sweet, sweet. When you hit that, what some athletes consider called the zone, or
Mhm.
you go into a flow state. Do do you remember the shots? Because I remember when I played, I didn't remember all the plays that I made that were good. Do you remember those shots? Can you like go into detail on how it happens, or it kind of just happens?
I would say you lose all of the thought process. There's no like you see the hole, you know what you want to do, and you're not thinking about the little things that we work on in practice every day. You get up to the shot and you just hit the shot, and that's such a great feeling because normally you're just in such a good flow that nothing bad is going to happen. In golf, I feel like it is very rare.
Mm,
But when you get to the last day of an event and you're up, near the lead, and that happens, I mean, it's one of the best feelings in the world because I feel like normally in the final rounds of events, you start to really think, okay, I have a chance to win this golf tournament, and everything that can go wrong goes wrong. I mean, we watch that every week on the PGA Tour. I mean, normally the person that is leading going into the final day never wins, unless it's a huge lead, and it's crazy because we're all great golfers, but just one little thought, can throw you off so much.
wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel like when you really get in that mode and there's just nothing you're thinking about, you can't be beat when you're so.
I I agree. I mean, you kind of covered the next question that I had.
Mm.
Um, do you have a particular strategy that you have when you go into a particular round, or does the golf course dictate that strategy?
For me, the golf course dictates the strategy and how I'm feeling that day. I don't like to look at numbers. I'm not technical at all. That's why it's
Mhm.
been hard for me to find a certain coach sometimes or make a switch because I'm very feel oriented. My golf swing is not robotic. It's not perfect, but I know how to get the ball around the golf course.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's for me, it's all feel how I'm feeling that day. If I get on the driving range and I'm missing the ball left, I know for that day. I mean, I know what I'm going to do on the golf course, and I don't practice before a round as much as most people do.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, I like to get on the golf course, and that's my happy place. So that's where I feel the most comfortable. I'm relaxed. I know that if I miss a shot one way, I know I'm going to settle in and figure that out pretty quickly. So for me, it's all feel and what's the miss that day? Okay, we're gonna work around that and we're gonna figure it out. So
That's huge, and that. I've been around the game of golf for a few years, and one thing that I've realized that there's no perfect golf swing. There's just the right one that fits you, and it fits where you're within that stage of your life, your physical ability, any kind of limitations. There is no perfect golf swing. So I mean, you have the perfect. I think you have a great idea of where you need to go. That's why you're heading in the top 2% of people who play the game, which is not an easy feat. Um, what part of your game are you focused on now to be ready for the Corn Ferry Tour? You know,
I would say right now, with Q School coming up and hopefully getting wanting to get my PGA Tour card this year, at least
mm,
getting my Corn Ferry Tour card. It's more keeping the drive a little bit more consistent. My iron play is solid, short game solid. So we're really working to keep the driver in play a little bit more, and kind of find that go-to shot that I can hit when the pressure is at its highest. Um, which when you put out $4,000 to go try to get your card, it's the pressure is at its peak, I would say.
mm,
So I'm really trying to dial that in. So that's what we're working on day in, day out. The short game, like I said, I work on every part of my game every day, but that's solid right now. Irons are solid. We just want to keep the driver just a little bit tighter off the tee.
that
So.
is sweet.
Mhm.
That's sweet. I mean, I love the only for selfish reasons. The only reason I love golf is hitting the ball off the tee. I just love the way it
Yeah.
sounds.
Mhm.
You know when you hit a good shot off the tee, you just you can feel it and you can hear it, and you try to repeat that every time. Sometimes I don't care what direction it goes. So
For sure.
that's just um, for people who don't understand the journey of a pro golfer
Mhm.
before joining the PGA Tour. Explain what earning a Corn Ferry Tour card actually takes. What does it actually take?
So it's definitely it's a tough life. It really is. And I shouldn't say tough life, but I just mean it's a grind because you so for each Corn Ferry event you have a Monday qualifier. So that's a 1 day qualifier the Monday before the event. You pay your $500, you travel to wherever that event is going to be, and usually there's 120 people at each location for 4 spots. So each event, you have a chance to get in a Corn Ferry event. Um, Usually it takes about 7 to 8 under to get in a playoff, just to get in
Mm,
a playoff
mm,
for the event. So
mm,
you got to play pretty perfect golf for 1 day. In usually you can do about 2 to 3 of these, maybe a month, if you have the funds to travel all over. They're all over the country, and in some internationally. I would say the easier way, if anything is easier in professional sports, um, is going to Q school.
mm,
Now, Q school is 4 stages: pre-qualifying, first stage, second stage, and then finals. And at each Q school, there's between 80 and 120 people. Um, Between 20 to I would say 30 people get through each stage, and then it gets harder and harder the further you get down the road. First stage is 37.50 you pay, and then if you get through, you pay another four, and then you get no status until you get to final stage though. So you've got to compete 3 weeks in a row basically, and they are spread out between, like, I would say, but 2 weeks in between each stage. But you have to compete, so that would be 15 rounds, and get through each stage to get to finals to get any status at all. So if
wow.
you so say you don't get through first stage, it's see you later next year, or you see you next year. You got to try again, and
Mhm.
so I would say it is a little bit easier than your Monday qualifiers, but still difficult to get through. Which is why a lot of guys like to do European, Corn
Yeah.
Ferry, and Asian. They try to give as many chances as possible.
Mhm.
So yeah, So, and then if you get through final or get to finals, the top 30 get Corn Ferry status, top 5 get PGA Tour status.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's intense. I mean, that's like a double trial. I work with a golfer, and he was trying to make it his way through the European tour,
Mhm.
and he said it was a little bit easier to make it through the European tour. Was he correct with that?
I would say it is a little bit easier. There's more spots.
That's what he
I
said.
would say, yeah, it is the toughest over here. Also, Europe does have a few more developmental tours to help you get status. So I think they do help the players maybe a little bit more. I would say over there, but they do have less. I would say over there. I would imagine. So I
Mhm.
would say it is a little bit easier.
Wow. So what? Just on a normal day, I mean, we probably covered it a little bit. What does a weekly grind actually look like? Part of the fan, the part the fans don't see.
Sorry. I would
Oh,
say, so for me, I start off the morning. I like to go to the gym before I start practicing, get that out of the way. And then I usually will do, I don't designate my days. I work usually on everything every single day. So I start off with short game. So my wedges, my bunker play. Then I'll move over to the putting green. Like I said, I work really hard on my putting. It's probably what I do the most when I'm practicing. And then I will end it at the range. I work a lot harder, like I said, right now on my driver. So I'm hitting a lot more drivers than I am anything. And then I'll usually go play 9 holes. After that, I'll have lunch and then either play 9 holes again, or if I was struggling on the course, I would put more work in on the range or whatever is giving me trouble. And that's then I will come back home, have dinner, go back to the gym, then come home. Like I said, I'm maybe a little bit of a boring person. My hobbies are go to the gym and then watch a Netflix show at the end of the night. So
no, no, you're not a boring person. You're a man on a mission,
yeah,
and the sacrifice that you're putting forth right now will pay off in the long run. So
yeah,
I mean, the part that wears people down is the boring part.
yeah,
The boring part is what wears people down and gives people, the instant. It doesn't have the instant gratification,
mm,
but if you're able to handle the boring, I tell my athletes this all the time. When you're able to handle the boring things for a monotonous, on a daily basis, just monotonous work every day, it will pay off. It will give you the opportunity to do the easy things, which is compete. That's just my opinion. And I wanted to know, do you do any kind of visualization before you play?
I would say I do a little bit. Like I feel I feel like when I'm playing really well, it's kind of like what Tiger did. He would always see windows on the golf course,
Mm,
and where he was going to hit each shot through. I kind of do similar things. I pick out things that are further away, like up, something I may see in the sky or a tree, certain tree limb, and I look at I guess you would say big or smaller targets. Really, really dial into so that if I do miss, it's a much smaller miss.
mm,
So I do a little bit of that, but like I said, I'm more of just a feel. I get out there and I feel, um, and like I said, it's not as robotic and perfect as most people, but it gets the job done. And it's just how I've always done everything. Even playing football. I mean, I threw the ball off my back foot more than my dad wanted to kill me, for but that's I always had a lot of power. I was always very strong. So that's just in tennis. I never had the prettiest strokes. I mean, it's how I've always played the game with any sport that I've played. Um,
yeah.
so
I mean, if you look at some of the best athletes people who are considered the best athletes, if you look at Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes does not have a textbook release.
Mhm.
He doesn't. I mean, he gets the ball where it needs to go, and he does some amazing things. And I think sports are a little bit more rhythmic. You know, not everybody can be a robot playing a sport.
Mm.
Not, at least not the great ones. So I think you're on the right track in that aspect, and you have a great. I mean, you have a great outlook because you trust yourself. It gives you an opportunity to trust what you're able to do, and you're not trying to put yourself in a box where you're trying to perform in a specific way. It doesn't help in sports. Sports is so fluid, things happen, and the more fluid you are, I think you have the best outlook on how you want to approach things. All right, so now we're going to talk about the business part of the dream. We're going to talk about the part nobody really likes to talk about out loud, the money aspect of the game of golf. What does it actually cost to chase this dream week to week and season to season for you?
So for I would say yearly, it costs about 140 to 150,000 to chase the dream here in the states. That is, food, flights, hotels, rental cars, plane tickets, gas, all of that. Um, per event, like I was saying with the Monday qualifiers, you pay $500. So, say I have an event because I'm in Sarasota now. Say I have an event in Miami. I
Mhm.
pay 500 for my entry. You've got your food, gas, hotel. Usually, if you're playing a 1-day mini tour event, you're going to go over there the day before. So you're going to pay 50, $60, maybe even $100 for a practice round just to practice the day before. And then you've got your hotel fees. Usually, most players will try to, find someone to go with just to cut
Mhm.
down cost, and yeah, and then like I said, if you don't make it through, you go home. It doesn't matter if you finish fifth and there's only 4 spots. You go home and you try again next week, and you're out on the low end, maybe $1,200, I would say.
Mhm.
So that's like I said, that's the difficult part about it.
Mhm.
Um, but and as far as Q school goes, when you do Q school, you're paying 37.50 just to get in, and then you're sent somewhere from North Carolina to probably first stage goes up to even Illinois, I think. So you're going to be sent somewhere relatively close, I would say.
Mhm.
And for that week, it cost me last season just first stage alone was about 6 grand. So
Oh, yeah,
and that's just one week,
yeah.
So that is why a lot of people a lot of people that I know even who have played for so long, missing it by one shot, multiple times this season, you're out, 75, 100 grand.
Mhm.
Um, and they never made it. And then they ran out of sponsors or ran out of funding. And that's kind of why it really does take a lot to just keep focused and knowing like if you keep knocking on the door, you're going to bust it down one day. Um,
Exactly. Yes.
and that's why it is important to have people that really believe in you,
Mhm.
because when you make it they make it, and it's going to be great for everybody. So that's but it does take a lot of belief and knowing that if you keep going you will eventually get there.
Mhm.
um and yeah, like I said, it is hard sometimes, but I think people forget to just think about like you're playing golf for a living,
Yeah.
and even if you get to sleep in your car, you don't have enough money for a hotel. I mean, the next day it could change your life. I mean, you're competing to play on the world's biggest stages in the sport that you love. I mean, it for me it doesn't get any better than that.
That
um,
is. I mean, that's the best part about it, man. Is the is the journey. The
yeah.
journey is the. It's not the easiest, but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, and then it wouldn't be worth anything. So, I mean, it makes sense. So right now, you're backed by several sponsors. Is that correct?
I do have a few right now. Yeah. So I have one great friend of mine, Centauro Marketing Company out of Central Florida,
Hmm.
who is also part of my sponsorship deal that I think we're going to get into a little later, and Howie G, Howard Gum out of Central Florida. He owns a cigar brand. He's also one of my sponsors. Been with me for about a year and a half now. And then I also have Peter Burtis. He owns a roofing company out of Deland, who has been with me for a while as well now. So, and slowly adding some more this year, to where I can get that kind of funding amount that we're looking for this fall season through next year.
Yeah, I the reason why, the main reason why we're even on the podcast is to get the word out to give you the opportunity to live a dream that has a lot of legs on it. So I'm looking at this as a way to help you get to where you need to be. And like I told you, I want to do everything I can to try and get the word out and you know get the right person right in front of you so you can make things happen. So that's a huge part. Um, who would be the perfect sponsor for you at this point?
I would say for me, I really like to have local sponsors. It means a lot more to me because I like to, build a connection and have those people kind of with me on the journey. I mean, it's obviously the money is the big thing to help me uh, chase my dreams, chase my goals, but having someone be a part of that is also big too because, like I said, of course, everyone wants to make a lot of money in professional sports and live a great life. But for me, it's more about winning trophies, and making the people around me happy and doing doing great things for them as well. So it's for me, I like to have more local sponsors. And like I said, people I can build a connection with and pretty much become part of a family.
Sweet. So we're going to flip it around. What does a sponsor get by being on Team Hunter, in return for believing in you this so early in your career?
So I kind of have two ways I'm going about it. For just your investor that wants a good return on their investment, I'm offering, depending on if they have a company or if they're just investor that just wants percentage, we have that as well, a percentage of my winnings. And then I also have, if they, like I said, if they have a business, it would be logo on my shirts, hats, website, bags, things like that. And then the other way that we do it, good friend of mine that owns a marketing company, Centauro, who's one of my sponsors, is offering some free services up to a certain amount for different tiers of sponsorship, which I have. So it's kind of a unique way I'm offering to a lot of companies who have shown a lot of interest in that part of the sponsorship deal because they're getting also their marketing taken care of as well as being a part of my journey. So I think it's a little bit different, but I'm kind of getting that out there, and I think a lot of people are starting to be really or get really interested in that.
That's excellent. So we're going to talk about another part. We're going to talk about the Never Birdie Boys. You know, your content creation channel that you're starting with a buddy of yours. Um, how did they come about, and tell us the purpose behind it?
So yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he also is more in the marketing industry, and he was like, "We need to get you more out there, on social media." And so I've never been big on social media,
I know.
um, just because, like I was telling you, I'm boring. I'm a little boring, but um, and he always tells me not to say that either. But I so
Of
for me,
course.
it's like I'm just so focused when I'm on the golf course. He's like, "Yeah, but there can be a time where once a week, twice a week, we record videos and people get to see who you really are, and you reach more people that way." And so because like I told him, I was trying to get sponsors this year, And he's like, well, social media is the way, the way of the world now. So you've got to get out there a little bit more. And I was like, okay, well, let's start this channel. And because it's so popular now, YouTube golf and
Oh,
things like that. Um, and more, there's going to be a lot of eyes seeing that. And so we decided to start that this year, and we're getting ready to start recording in a couple of weeks, and just getting some ideas and what people are going to like, and things like that, nailed down. So yeah, that's going to be kind of where I get away from the super pressure packed,
mhm.
I would say, part of my training and my tournaments and stuff like that, and just kind of have some fun with friends, and maybe do some teaching videos and things like that, kind of helping people as well. So
That sounds like a plan, and it's the hardest thing is to get out there and put yourself out there and be vulnerable on social media. I know that for a fact. This is a struggle every week for me sometimes. So
yeah,
I get it, but it does help you. It gives you a little bit. It gives you a little bit more of an edge when you do have a connection with people who have never met you. When they see a different side of you that that pretty much probably like your family or your friends will see. You may connect and meet some new friends that could actually help get you to that next level. For any brand or business owner right now who wants to be on Team Hunter, what's the next move um, that they will make, and where do they go to get all the information so they can get signed up and get on board?
for sure. So I do have my website, hunterstoneman.com, to kind of give some more information, some of the events I'm going to be playing, things like that. And I do have a couple of presentations that I have with different tiers of sponsorship and things that they can get. But I like to tell everybody, I mean, I like to make things personal, between myself and the sponsor, and really make it appealing, and good, for as good as I can, for whoever is going to take the dive with me, and really trust me to um, do well in my career and reach my goals. Because like I said, I don't my what drives me is winning trophies, being on the golf course, doing it for a living. So the money aspect, I for the investor, I want to do as well as I can for them, and really give back to them, because they're making it also possible for me to do it for a living. I mean, so I really owe you know a big part of that to them.
I that that's a quality answer, and I'll reiterate that everything's going to be in the show notes. Go to hunterstoneman.com. Everything is going to be there for you to check out, and for you to actually understand exactly what the journey is, who the man is, and how you can be a part of this spectacular journey he's about to get on. Um, we're going to talk about the road to the Corn Ferry Tour and the dream behind that goal. Um, it's really, this is a really inspirational story. I like stories like this, where it's pretty the true, like, I don't want to say underdog story, because you shooting when you shooting a 65, you're not really an underdog. You're not really an underdog. You're right on the cusp of just hitting the right shot on the right day. Okay, we're gonna visualize just for a second. How would you feel? How are you gonna feel you're on the first tee on the first PGA event that you are a part of? How do you think you're gonna feel? What will that mean? What will that moment mean for you when you get on a PGA tour? And who is that moment meant for?
I mean, I would love to say that the pressure won't get to me on the first tee, but I mean, if you're not feeling pressure in your
So
first event on the PGA Tour, then it doesn't mean anything to you. So
exactly.
it's going to be a crazy feeling, and I can't wait for that feeling, because you know I I could hit the ball out of bounds on the first tee, and it's still gonna feel amazing, because I got to where I wanted to be. and you know, you're gonna settle in, like we say. That's my happy place. That's what I've done all my life. So you're gonna settle in, but that first tee shot is going to be, something like you've never felt before.
That's excellent.
So, and you're
Yeah,
you're never gonna know how you are going to react until you're in that position.
exactly. I mean, it's, I can, I'm a huge believer in visualization,
Mhm.
I want to ask that question just to get. I mean, it's a true answer, man. I mean, it's going to happen. It all started with your grandparents, teeing the ball up for you at a young age. Um, what will that mean for your family and your friends to see you golfing on the big stage on the PGA Tour?
I don't think my grandmother is going to be able to handle. That's all she tells me every day. That's all she wants. It is unfortunate. She is, like I told you, in bad health. And she tells me every day, like, this is all I want. I don't have much to look forward to in my life, and this is what I want. Like, I need to see you make it. And she said, that, like I said, that's it. It's hard, but it would mean the world to her. So
I mean, that's good. I mean, everybody has. If your why is not bigger than the goal, I mean, it means nothing. I mean, that's a pretty big why, and I want people to actually see that this is more, that this is bigger than just golf. It's bigger than just a sport. This is the opportunity to give a gift to everybody that's in your family, which is huge. Which is, well, I'm excited to see how everything's going to unfold. Okay, we're going to go in the final three questions. It's a little bit more lighter. What is your dream golf course that you can see yourself winning on the PGA Tour? What golf course did you see yourself winning on the PGA Tour?
oh, that's easy. The Masters, Augusta National. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. It's
the green
there's not
jacket.
nothing compares. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, that was cut and dry. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, not the Ryder Cup or the U.S. Open and nothing like that. Yeah, but
I would
man,
say, obviously, US every all if if you're from here, obviously want to win the US Open too. That would be great. But I don't feel like there's any tournament like the Masters, and
it's not.
you know
It's like the
um
Super Bowl.
and then down the road, obviously competing for your country in the Ryder Cup is huge too.
Yeah,
Um but yeah.
yeah.
So
Hey, everybody needs to get on board. So hey, we can get Hunter on the Ryder Cup team, in the
for
next
sure.
few years, and we can get the ball rolling. I mean, the visual is he can. I believe he can see himself playing. All right, give us one club you will never take out of your golf bag.
I'd say my 3-iron. I've hit the same
Oh,
3-iron, and unfortunately, it's starting, I feel like, to cave a little bit because
yeah.
I've been using. So I got when did I start using? I think it was in 2018. So I've had that club in my bag for 8 years,
Wow.
so going on 9 years.
Holy
So
cow.
it's so worn that like it's discolored like in the middle, and I will never take that club out of the bag until I can't hit it anymore.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Is it like a good luck charm, or it just feels good?
I mean, there's nothing like it off the face. When you hit it off the center of that club, there's nothing like it.
Holy cow. I mean,
So
when you say 3-iron, usually it's the 3 wood, because I was addicted to 3 wood for like
yeah,
3 years.
I switch 3 woods every like 6 months, when
Yeah,
they stop working. Right.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're a golfer, that's what I've heard. I mean,
Yeah.
a 3 wood is a 3 wood. I
Yeah.
was addicted to it, not and I still suck. So it was all good.
Yeah. When I find something I like, I can't, they come out with new clubs every year. It's
Oh,
crazy. And
yeah,
when I find something I like, I'll play for it with it forever. I mean, it's just like a shaft. I mean, been using the same shaft and that 3-iron for since I had it. So it's when I find something I don't like to change, it takes a lot for me to change. Yeah.
it, that makes a lot of sense. So, what's the lowest round you've ever shot in your golf career?
Lowest round I ever shot. not in a tournament was 62. The lowest round in a tournament was 64.
Oh, wow. Holy snikes.
So
Wow.
still trying to hit that 59. That's the goal right now.
Yeah.
But
That's the gold standard.
yeah.
Yeah. But still, man, you getting under 65. God, dog, man, that's impressive. That's really like if you know golf, that's like the top 1-2% in the world who can actually shoot something like that consistently. All right. Well, everybody, this is Hunter Stoneman. You remember the name because you're going to be hearing it a lot in the future. He's going to do some great things. You're going to hear about him for a long time. Golf is a forever sport. It's probably I believe it's probably one of the best sports in the world for longevity. So here's how you can be a part of this high performing athlete story. If you're a brand owner, if you're a business owner, you have a brand that is that's based in the world of golf. If you're a golf enthusiast that just loves the game and you just want to reach out and just be a part of the whole process of seeing this young professional chase down his dream, you can go to hunterstoneman.com. Everything is there, his results, the story of his journey, and how you can partner with him in this early stage. This is a rare opportunity for a lot of you to get involved with this process with this great young athlete. The link will be in the show notes, and I want to thank Hunter for joining me this evening. It's been a great conversation, and I hope to meet you in person. When you're here in Orlando you're here with your swing coach. Everybody out there who is chasing something and the odds seem like they're against you, it's not. And if you listen to Hunter's story and how he's betting on himself, all you got to do is keep climbing and make sure that you stay on task and do the hard, boring stuff on a daily basis, and you'll eventually come out on top. I'm Coach E. Allen. This is the Game Ready Podcast. Get ready, stay ready, be game ready. We'll see you next Tuesday.